Computer.
This is the Matters of Influence podcast, creating awareness and alignment today to become your best self tomorrow. With your hosts, Debbie Frapp and Terry Foster Nowland.
That was great.
Hey, it's kind of cool, huh? Yeah.
It's kind of cool. You and your technology.
I'm just saying, I'm getting better and better all the time. So it's fun.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Hey, it's kind of good to be here because we've been dealing with a little bit of snow, a little bit of freeze.
Just a little bit.
So first of all, just, really sending out some positive thoughts and energy to all of our fellow Texans and Okies that are still dealing with this. And we're just glad that we can be with you today. And we got a good topic, I think, today.
Yep.
Evoking awareness.
Matters.
Yeah, it does. It does matter.
Awareness matters. Because like you said, when we were talking before, it's where it all starts.
It is. And this idea of evoking, so it begins with an E, it's to call forth, right? So the idea, what I love about this is that all we got to do is call it forth. It's already there.
Yeah.
We just have to call it forth. So evoking awareness.
Think where does awareness start? So like when you're a child, when do you start becoming aware of your environment or your surroundings? I mean, how far back does awareness go?
I think personally, and I'm sure that there's probably some studies, because here I was reading not too long ago of this idea that our heart is actually formed before our brain. Did you know that in the womb?
I did know.
Okay. Now here's what's interesting. As adults, we start thinking, oh my gosh, my brain controls my heart.
Exactly.
Yet the reality is that your heart formed first. So just think about that for just a moment. So what did that awareness do for me? That awareness of understanding your heart is that listening to your heart is just as powerful as listening to what's going on in your head. So now,
let's tie that back into some learning we had this week on the three brains, right?
Yep. Head, heart, and gut.
In your gut.
And they all perform something different, but it's like they're calling them the three brains because we think about having neural pathways in our brain. We don't understand that we also have those in our gut and in our heart.
And they have to all be created.
And they're created and they need to be in alignment. Like when we're really in our power is when they're all in alignment.
In alignment. Yes.
So going back to that, as kids, I think the awareness probably begins when they're in the womb, right? They have this awareness that they're being nurtured by the body of their mother, right? And I know that they're aware when they're born because they're going, no, send me back. That was nice and cozy.
Because their gut tells them they're hungry.
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting to think about. So there is awareness. We're all aware.
Yeah.
It isn't a switch we turn on, I guess is the point.
No. And yet, having said that, I think it's real easy to go through our life not tuning into our awareness. Right?
Maybe because we're so busy.
Could be. It could be that we're busy, so we go through our life and there's things going on. And I think there's messages going on that sometimes we miss. For me personally, like there are things in nature. I just believe that nature, I think God created this whole interconnected universe for us to pay attention to. And oftentimes it's nature that I begin to tune into, that I'm aware of, right? It's like the other day, I can't even remember what day it was because this week has been kind of like, I had to wake up this morning and go, what day is it today?
Exactly.
I wasn't aware of what day it was today.
A little bit this week.
Yeah, it's been a lot going on. But all of a sudden it was just like, I heard a bird that I'd never heard before. Like all of a sudden I became aware and I was just like, okay, that's not normal. Now, if I hadn't been paying attention to what it sounds like outside around my house,
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been aware that something was different. Right.
that is true.
Yeah. So it's this whole idea of I think nature is constantly giving us messages, and are we aware? On my birthday, I was outside and I was walking around and there was no breeze. Okay. And I have two wind chimes out back. One of them you bought for me after my dad passed,
Mhm.
and no breeze whatsoever. But all of a sudden, that wind chime very gently. So it was like I just became aware of it, became aware of the sound. And in that moment, I was able to pause and say, "Thank you, Dad, for wishing me a happy birthday."
Well, oh, it's funny. So that was your experience on your birthday. I have chimes in the front,
Hmm.
and I created,
Hmm.
knowing I have awareness about myself, that I have to have a space that I
Hmm.
like to be in, that I can like have no noise,
Yeah.
none. I don't sit in the quiet well.
Mhm.
Many of y'all know that are listening. And I'm sitting in there journaling, writing a few things that morning. Snow was falling like crazy here in Oklahoma, and the wind was blowing, and the chimes out front. And I did the exact same thing you did, because those chimes were a representation of my mom's passing.
Right.
And they were loud though. So, but it's that awareness. I
Yeah,
created a space so that I could become aware,
that's
so
right.
that I could evoke. It's like that space
Yeah,
evokes me to be in the quiet. It does,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
15 years ago, I would have thought, oh, this is just silly. And I know now, I wish 15 years ago I would have understood it.
Hmm.
So
Well,
I would hope that there are people listening, that they're young and they're listening to this and going, I need to consider it,
yeah. Well,
right?
because here's the thing. You can't have understanding without the awareness first. The awareness is that prompt, is that little nudge, whether it comes through nature, whether it comes through the environment, whether it comes through your body, whether it pops in as a thought, like whatever that is, the
Mm-hmm.
awareness is that little poke, that little nudge, and then you can begin to explore that and understand it, and it's only then can you actually make the change or take action on it. So without the awareness, nothing else can happen.
It's the noticing.
It is the noticing. And I think that that's one of the things that I've loved so much about nature, because there's so much going on that if you pay attention, it's just like, whether it's the wind, whether it's sunny here today. So I'm looking outside going, oh yes, the sun, melt the snow, melt the snow, melt the snow. um, and it's like, there's just things that are constantly going on. And so part of this is we have to pause, and like, you created a space where you could pause in the busyness of our life. I think that that's the thing that is going on. I think we have so many answers already inside of us. Both you and I are coaches, and it's like, a lot of times people will say something, thank you so much, for what you did. And here's the thing, the answer was already inside of them,
Yeah.
just through the questions that we do as a coach. We allowed them to gain their own awareness because the answer is already there.
The answer is always inside of us.
Answer is always inside of us. So
You know, I want you to share, because of nature. We have, like you said, in Texas and Oklahoma, it's been,
a historic event, like
let's call it historic.
100 years, we haven't had these kind of temperatures or snow or anything like that. And we're just,
Mm-mm.
it's hard. It's a tough deal right now.
And we're not in the area of the country where homes were built to
Mm-mm.
survive that, nor were people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, okay, when I was thinking about this last night after you shared that screenshot with me, which of course gave me chills,
Mm-hmm.
um, we're always looking for, what does this mean? That's
Right.
also awareness, right? What does this mean?
Right.
What does this represent? What can I do with the information that I just received? We deal with tornadoes,
Yep.
earthquakes,
Yep.
landslides.
Mm-hmm.
um, Regardless of what just happened in 2020, there are physical events of nature that we deal with pretty consistently,
Mm-hmm.
and we know how to respond. And we also know that on the other side of it, even if we
Mm-hmm.
can't see it
Mm-hmm.
for a few years, it totally changes economically
Yeah.
what we do,
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely.
share a little bit about what you shared with me about the snow.
So I saw the other day that 71% of the continental US, so it doesn't count Alaska, but I promise you Alaska's got it. 71% had snow, has snow on the ground. Now, that's pretty remarkable when you think about that, right? And in even just seeing the map, I was just like, whoa. So to me, I'm just like, okay, then what does snow represent?
Yeah.
Okay. And so part of it is that a lot of times snow is compared because of the whiteness of it to innocence.
Mm.
Um, but it's also it can symbolize tranquility. I don't think people in Texas were experiencing as that, right? As tranquility. But the other thing that it does is it's about transformation. And so being able to look at it's like it's beginning or the end of hardships, because snow covers everything and changes a familiar landscape into something new. It therefore can be seen as transformation.
It fills the earth, it nurtures the roots of trees, it flows
Yep.
into streams and rivers,
Yep.
it eventually provides water. uh, that just you reading that out loud yesterday just made me think the word transformation, what that represents to us, even in the human body.
Yeah.
And I also started laughing because I'm thinking, when we nature knows what it does, right?
Right.
And even in the children's movie Frozen,
Oh
I
yeah.
shared that
I'm
with
not
you.
going to even start singing because people would turn off if that happened.
Well,
So
it's I think the whole movie's Snow. The ones
yeah.
I've watched, my granddaughter, right, who thinks she is the princess that does that,
Yes.
sings all those songs. There's so much power in that,
Mm,
because you said that about snow, and I started thinking there's some type of representation in that movie about that snow
absolutely.
transformation.
Yep.
Those characters are keenly aware,
Mm,
right,
mm.
of that. So I loved that when you said that. But that was your awareness when you
Uh-huh.
read that, based on your connection with nature.
Right. So what did it? Okay, 71% of the
Yeah.
continental US has snow on the ground right now. And I'm just like, okay, that's a message. That's something like, all right, so let's explore what does snow represent? Now, again, not to make light of any of the people that are struggling because of the snow, right? And the freezing temperatures and so forth. I'm just taking snow as, snow as it is, not the destruction that it could cause or anything. But I think about, I walked outside the other day, not for long because it was cold, but I looked at the tree and it had totally transformed into this beautiful, it had snow on it, it had ice on it. And I've seen some of your pictures, right, with the icicles and everything else. So when you think about the fact that snow transforms what we normally see, but then the earth absorbs it all, right?
Yeah.
It just absorbs it all. And like you said, begins to nourish it. And then what's left after the snow? Um, so we can look at all kinds of things that are going on. You're great, Terry, at being able to look at the awareness that you have in your physical body. You're better than anybody that I've ever known about knowing what's going on in your body. And even when you exercise and stretch, talk about just how, where does that come from? Like, I mean, you really do. You have such an incredible awareness, and you've had health practitioners, so forth. tell you the same thing. So talk about that.
Yeah. My chiropractor said it again this morning. There are times I feel like I'm, advising them on my own health when I'm in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And yet they really do. They're like, you're really aware of your body, aren't you? Right. And I was sharing my 50-minute doctor's appointment yesterday. And I don't know where it comes from. I know that it is, first of all, when you're in the moment of stretching or doing yoga or Pilates or any of that, um, you can, if you're really focusing on your body, you're feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
And it may feel like a pull. Well, if it's pulling to me, that means, oh, there's some tightness there. I need to push that a little bit more. I know, in fact, I heard Simone Biles share this on 60 Minutes last week, my connection with gymnastics. And
Yeah.
at 23 years old, she is so aware of her body at
Yep.
the old age of 23,
Mm.
going to the Olympics, that her body, and she's pushed her body to do things no other gymnast can do, right?
Right.
Overwhelming. And she said, well, the day starts with a stretch before the stretch.
Mm.
And the interviewer started laughing. She goes, okay, wait a minute. You stretch before the stretch. She's aware
Yeah.
that regular stretching isn't going to help her do those physical things that she is doing. So she has to stretch before the stretch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have to understand it's not just about stretching, it's about food.
Yeah.
It's about exercise. I mean, not take it crazy, as my daughter would say. You don't go crazy with food. Just be aware
Right.
of how it's making your body feel and go, maybe I don't take medicine for that. Maybe I just correct that.
Yeah.
And it takes time. It'll take about a week to go, okay, I
Right.
can't use that anymore, that supplement. I've got to do this, and then
Yeah.
figure out how your body responds to it, because we're all built so genuinely different.
Yeah.
It's no different than the snow nourishing the earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're aware of that now. We can approve it and love it and think it's beautiful, and or know the danger that it brings. We do the same thing with our body. So
Right.
I think the keen sense of awareness for me just became noticing what didn't feel right,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
being able to say to the doctor, I'm making decisions on my own about what I think works and what doesn't work, and this
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel right. I know my body.
It doesn't feel right.
You have
That's
to
right.
align yourself
Yep.
with people in your life,
Yep.
the health profession, that are okay with you knowing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So really, it's kind of like, so as we kind of wrap this up, it's like, we've talked about awareness in a lot of different ways, and that change, understanding all starts with awareness. And so I want to kind of just share a couple of things that I do around awareness, and maybe you can do the same, and we can kind of encourage people of how can we create more awareness for ourselves.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think the biggest part, and this is going to sound so basic and so simple, but it is the pause. It could be the pause right before you have a conversation with somebody, or in our case, the pause right before a coaching session or whatever that is, and paying attention to, okay, am I tight in my shoulders? What's my body telling me?
Yeah.
What's my gut telling me? What's my heart telling me? Right. And getting tuned in to all of those things. And you can't do that without the pause. It's almost like you've got to, pay attention to shutting everything down and taking the pause.
Yeah.
And I think then the other thing is breath. Breathing, just like paying attention to, like, are you breathing? When you breathe, what do you feel? Right.
Mhm.
And where are you feeling it in your body? Just through simple breath. And breath can do so many amazing things to control other parts of our body. I think we've talked about this before. Just, if you're feeling anxious, just taking a couple of deep breaths to calm everything down neurologically.
Yeah.
Because when everything is in that fight or flight and everything is like lit up, you're not, the other parts of your body have shut down. So you've got to bring it all down so that you can pay attention to more of your body. So taking the pause and breathing as what is the biggest thing that I do in paying attention and the awareness, and then getting out in nature. It's been a little tough this week. So
Yes. Even just getting out and sitting on the porch in the sunshine right now, even if you're bundled up,
yep.
do everyone good. It's interesting you say that, because before my physical yesterday, I had to, the blood pressure thing, right?
Yep.
And I have usually great blood pressure. And I did box breathing. And
Yep.
so if you have a blood pressure cuff at home, this would be fun. Do your blood pressure, wait some time, start doing some breathing exercises, and then go back and take your blood pressure again. It'll show up in your body
Yep.
that way.
It will.
It's interesting.
Yep.
It's interesting.
Yep.
Well, I think one of the things that the pause is absolutely it. And I don't think it even has to be, it's nothing structured. I think when people start thinking about a pause, they think they've got to go to their calendar, and they
Yeah.
have to write in their calendar, I'm going to wake up at 5:45, and then I'm going to meditate for an hour. And it's not about a calendar pause.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
We overthink that. The pause comes in what you're preparing yourself to do. It comes from your daily disciplines. And a lot of times it's a simple discipline that you're going to be better, right? I'm going to increase something by 1% every day. I'm just going to get
Yeah.
1% better
Love
at
that.
something every day. And over time it adds up. You guys have
Yeah.
all heard of the 1% rule.
Yep.
And so when I look at something, whether it's a picture on Facebook or whatever it is, instead of going into any kind of judgment or scrolling through it, which is really easy for me to do because I don't love to watch videos and stuff on Facebook, or on any social media, I start finding things that make me think. And so,
Yeah.
Debbie, I sent this to you. Um, our pastor's daughter she was, frozen is the thing, right? We talked about that earlier. And I'm going to pop this up on the screen real quick, because this is an example of learning to take a pause. In my opinion, this is learning. I just snipped this so that we could share it.
Yeah.
So the caption of this was, she truly believed she did all this.
I
And you
love
know
it.
what? She's
Yeah.
not she's not quite 4 years old. And
Uh-huh.
and look at her out
Yeah.
there in 2-degree temperature.
With flip-flops.
Yeah, those are, I believe, her frozen flip flops.
Or maybe they're her frozen sandals. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. She's got the
Yes.
crown. I mean, everything's there. And her attitude is she truly believes she did all this.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
mom was apologizing. It was kind of funny on Facebook. I think it was Instagram or Facebook. She
Yeah.
was apologizing for the fact that, hey guys, I'm sorry she brought all this snow, but she truly believes she did it.
Yeah.
And I said to you, when did we stop believing like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why should we? So there was awareness in that moment when I saw the picture to go, what does this mean?
Yeah.
You and
Yeah.
I, as coaches, like you said, how many times have we asked the question, what are you making that mean?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I've started asking myself that a lot. Terry, what are you making that mean? And most of the time, those beautiful thoughts come out of that. And I asked mom permission if I could share that. And
Yeah.
she goes, absolutely. And and I said, wouldn't it be awesome if we could all just keep believing like that?
Right. Absolutely.
She
Reminds
had-
me of that commercial.
Nobody told her she didn't do it.
That's right. And you know what? And let her believe that she has that kind of power and belief in herself.
For the
Right.
rest of
It
life.
reminds me of that commercial, and I'll close with this, but the commercial where the little boy is dressed up as Darth Vader. And he goes outside to the car and he thinks he can start the car, and mom is inside with the remote, right, doing it. He believed that too, right?
Exactly. That's a great example.
So what is it that we can believe? What have we lost in believing about ourselves? That we are so powerful, in which we could start a car, we could make it snow. What is that we've stopped believing in ourselves? And part of that is just being present in the moment and gaining your own awareness. So I hope people will take away from this, put some pauses. And you're exactly right. The pauses are about being present, not about a schedule.
It's
But
about being aware of doing the pause.
It's doing the pause. So we hope that you guys will pause. And even if you need to pause right now before we close up, we just want to welcome that and encourage that. And we're just going to keep believing that we're powerful, and we're just going to go with that. thank you guys so much for being here with us. We love doing this. It's our give back to you, and we love to hear feedback from you. Maybe you've got something that you want us to explore. We're happy to do that. We just love the opportunity that we get to visit with each other and that you guys listen in. So we want to thank you for that.
Yep. So thanks again for joining us. And please listen in, share our podcast on your favorite listening streaming device, and rank us. We would absolutely, like Debbie said, we would love your feedback. Feedback is what matters. And if there's any suggestions you would love for us to talk about, let us know.
Yep.
We would love that.
All right. And here we go. We're going to close this out.